Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Three Stooges Review. This time we'll be reviewing the 28th film that the Three Stooges made with Columbia Pictures, and it is called
Termites of 1938.
I suppose Termites of 1938 is some sort of cultural reference from the time, but be that as it may, this was written by Elwood Ullman and Al Giebler, and it was directed by Del Lord.
And I have to say that they didn't hit the mark on this one.
I would have to agree. It's funny that this one was written by two people, and basically you've got, you've got what we've got.
This is not a classic Stooge film, and you know what's funny about this one? Is they do go and they do the hoi polloi thing. You know, they mix with high society, and it's a bomb, really.
Right. Unfortunately, this time it was a recipe for,
Poops.
Why? It's not that bad. It's not poops. It has some moments. Unfortunately, some moments does not equate to a great Stooge short.
Let's look at our scorecard.
Slapstick comedy, we both gave it a 2. There's definitely some good slapstick comedy in this. Not a lot, but definitely a couple of things I like. So, for example, when Larry tries to catch the mouse, when the cannon goes off, when they arrive at the party,
and Curly squirts the people with rat poison.
there's definitely a lot of slapstick in this, but it's not supported by a strong plot, which we'll get into, and so that's part of the problem.
The funniest person in this whole thing is the maid. She's hilarious.
Yes. The dialogue. I gave the dialogue a 1 because I don't feel that there's a lot of heavy, humorous dialogue in this short.
Okay, and I gave the dialogue...
Yeah, you can't even see. A 2.
A tip. And, because there's a few chuckles in it.
What'd you give the dialogue?
2. No?
What'd you give it?
2. I said it like 4 times.
Yeah, but you're not saying a sentence.
I gave the dialogue a 2 because there's a couple of chuckles in here and some... actually... Maybe I am being harsh on this. There's some classic Stooge-like chuckles in it, but not belly laughs, and that's a different thing.
There's no unintentional marks for this.
No.
Nothing really funny. Nothing unintentional really happens in this film. The plot, I give the plot a 1, and this is where this is one of the main issues with this particular film. You gave it a 1 as well.
Yeah, I gave it a... I'm sorry.
No, just say you gave it a 1.
Yeah, I gave it a 1 too because the plot.
A 1 too?
Yeah.
Fucking 1 too, you.
I gave it a 1 also because. I gave it a 1 also because it's not that funny. I mean, there is no plot actually. Yeah, I do. I pick everything.
So anyway, the plot. You don't even try. I guess it doesn't matter.
We're funnier than the Stooges.
Yeah, we're
right
funny. Anyway, so so the plot. I don't even know how to sum this up. The Three Stooges are pest exterminators who are called by
a woman who
mistakenly
needs an
called.
service.
Yeah, they're mistakenly called by a woman looking for an escort service. So she thinks she's calling the escort service, but she's really contacted the Three Stooges pest exterminators. So they're going to show up at this party where where the Three Stooges will mingle with high society.
And the reason why it's all mixed up is because Moe can't hear on the phone and stuff. So that should have been really funny in my opinion, because a lot of times when they do this phone routine, it's really funny.
Anytime that you're going to have there's a mix-up, it should be more clever than this. Again, this plot is full of holes. So for example, why does everybody at the table now think that they have to emulate the Stooges?
So this is supposed to be funny because the Stooges are supposed to make a mockery out of how high society eats, and I wish it was funny because they could have done some good stuff, but it's not. It goes on forever, maybe 10 minutes.
It's not very funny. That's the problem.
So
there's no real jokes during that segment.
And you know what?
Except look at how funny it is that rich society people are gonna copy but see, this is the problem, going to copy the Stooges, but see, this is the problem with the plot. There's no explanation for anything that's going on. except that the Stooges were called by mistake. And aside from that, everything else doesn't make any sense and is not tied up. And of course, the ending is ridiculously stupid because although there's a nifty special effects shot at the end, it has no rhyme or reason for occurring. Why does she need an escort service to attend this party? Why isn't her husband going? Why is her husband mad? Not that that really matters, but I just mean that these things pile up and the story doesn't accumulate and grow. And, you know, why does the guy that she's going to meet at this party, like, what's that about? Like, that's never explained.
They think they're going to exterminate a house and they end up playing in a band and all this. It's really...
Yeah, it
The
really
stuff
doesn't...
should be funny because that's kind of like a Stooge episode. Like crazy stuff happens as they go through their journey of the episode. But this doesn't work that way.
Right, and then why does the husband show up like,
Afterwards,
and then
yeah, he doesn't even know why
there's
he's
no
after.
reason that he's after them. It doesn't
he
make
gets
any
there and he
sense.
knows what's going on all of a sudden. It's kind of...
Yeah, why did he show up in the first place?
He was duck hunting.
It doesn't make any sense. If you can explain to me how this plot works and why, you know, this is why the things that happen are funny because as how it relates to the story, then
Yeah, 'cause, you
by
know,
all means.
We
tell
get a lot
tell
of
me.
flack sometimes. Oh, this got some classic stuff in it. Okay, it might have
Yeah,
some classic
it
stuff
does.
in it
It
for
does.
you, but for me as a whole...
For me too, I agree though. I think this does have some classic gags, some classic sequences, not meaning scenes.
I mean, I love when they have to play to a record. That's wicked funny, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't really, like, the whole...
Yeah, every time you think, like, okay, now it's going to ramp up and be funny, and then we're like going, oh.
Falls flat.
The gags don't go anywhere, and they don't come from anywhere.
And one of the things about this is, you know, we talk a lot about how if Mo's under stress, he has a right to slap people around because he has a reason, because he's, okay. But the opening scene, you know, Mo's slapping Curly around. Curly isn't doing anything to get slapped, that's all. I mean, at the whole time. So when you watch this, you'll see what I mean. If you think Mo slapping people is funny and that's what you want to see, then that's fine. But I like it when Mo has a reason to slap people. And he doesn't.
I can only agree with that statement wholeheartedly. Now, let's get to the supporting cast. I really like the supporting cast in this film, but I can only give them a 2 because, quite frankly, the script or the director the story, the plot, doesn't give them anything to actually do.
That's
so
why I gave
nothing
them a
is
1.
really happening. If you can explain to me how the scene at the table with them eating
It's supposed
to be funny,
And it goes on for like 10 minutes.
you know, by all means, go ahead and tell me why it's so funny, because it's not funny.
No.
Performances by the Stooges, I gave them 2s all the way down, and I guess I'm just being fair to the Stooges because they did what they could under the circumstances. This is definitely a film where Giebler and Elwood simply threw a bunch of successful Stooge concepts into a bowl, mixed it up, and spilt it on the table onto the page, and said, call the boys in and let's do this, and let's get this one done.
And I'm less...
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just less forgiving. I gave they get 1s. It's not funny. Mo's slapping people for no reason. Larry's playing with fishing rods. They go to eat dinner at some... I don't like this one. I have to be completely honest.
The whole, you see, you say Larry playing with fishing rods, that whole thing at the beginning with them trying to catch Mouse, it should have been hilarious. But they didn't do anything with it
I agree
except,
with you.
You know, it's definitely kind of funny where the mouse, you know, ends up blowing off the cannon, and it's definitely funny that Larry thinks he's going to catch a mouse and goes through the cartoon shenanigans. But it really, the whole scene doesn't really come together for me anyway. I mean, if you can explain to me, other than what I just said, you know what I mean? There's really not much going on, and it just falls flat. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you think that we don't have any right to even review these films, never mind have the gall to sit here and say that, you know,
this is stupid and that stinks,
that
and
this
that's not
isn't
funny.
any good, and this story's no good, so it must not be funny, and all this nonsense.
But I'd
hey,
like
listen.
to just say that we've been watching the Stooges since we were very little teeny kids. So we we know our stooges.
Yeah.
You can test us and say blah 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 about us, but you can say whatever you want about us. We have watched our stooges all our lives, and that's the reason why we're doing this, because we didn't know like before which ones were really good.
Exactly.
Like we watch one and go, I'm not. I always thought that one was awesome.
Yeah,
And it
or
turns
watch
out-
one and say, I thought that one was just kind of average,
Yeah,
and
and
like,
explode
wow,
you, you
you're
know,
like,
yeah.
wow, this is one of our favorite films. I don't know how you get all this mixed up, but I guess basically when you're just catching them on TV.
Yeah, like on Sunday at 9 o'clock.
Or even when, because there have been many times where we would just throw them in on the VCR and stuff,
Right,
but we
right.
weren't paying attention, really, you know what I mean? And by paying attention and filling out these forms,
Which you can do too.
yeah.
We
so
encourage
let's-
you to do this with us because we like to hear
We've
what
talked
you guys
about
are
this
saying.
before.
Yeah.
This is
Okay,
all.
so there's one other category. Pretty girls. I like the girl who's the lead in this. She's very cute, but she doesn't. She's supposed to do stuff, right? But she's.
Yeah,
Not
I guess I said this about the characters before.
I would like to give
I would
her a 3
definitely
because I
like to-
like her, but
Yeah, I
she's-
would have given 2 for
Oh,
both
really?
the girls because I do kind of like them, but they don't have anything to do, and so I'm like, they're not sexy because they're
boring.
they don't really. I love the moment where they start pretending to play the music. That look on that woman's
yeah.
face is
It's-
priceless.
It is.
I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, tell you the truth. I find this one a little bit hard to rate because
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence about it. But there's definitely one thing's for sure. None
The
of
scorecard isn't very high.
Yeah, there's no 3s, no
Yeah.
matter how on the fence I'm not on the
Right.
fence about,
So like you're not gonna pull this out and say, "Here's the Stooges, guys. Let's watch."
why would I?
Yeah.
If you don't even have a strong plot to begin with, I think it's a good idea for a plot, but
But
it doesn't, in execution, it doesn't actually go anywhere, and it's full of holes.
And we
And
also
that's
have
Part of the reason it doesn't
to
go
like
anywhere.
sort of compare this one to any some other high society ones. This falls really short.
Exactly. So we could go on forever defending our position on this, but the fact of the matter is that this one doesn't strike us as one of the Stooges' best films.
And I think I
And-
like it less than he does.
Yes, but, my total score is a 13,
And mine is a 10.
and I always feel a little funny about rating.
The really low. 'Cause
Rating
someone's
them
gonna say,
low.
"You guys don't know the Stooges."
It's not because somebody's going to say, it's because I really think there are some good gags in this film.
Yeah.
Next time we are going to be reviewing Oui Oui Monsieur. Monsieur?
Oui, oui?
I can't speak French.
Pen says what?
And I don't remember which one that is. I'm not going to read the synopsis. That way it'll be a surprise for everybody. And until next time, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And when I
do the
say
card.
rate, go ahead and rate it. Nah, I don't really care about that. But go ahead. If you want to tell us what jerks we are for having the nerve to review these films, never mind talk about how some of them aren't actually any good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, let us have it. We love to hear from you,
Yeah,
no matter
and
what you have to
scorecard.
say. Yeah, and do your own rating and let us know what you think. And of course, if you want to see Oui Oui Monsieur, you should subscribe so that you know when that video is
And
actually
don't
done.
forget to buy these.
Yes, don't forget to get the Three Stooges compilation that you couldn't get before this was released 2 years ago.
Yeah. So cool, right? All right. So we'll see you next
Bye-bye.
time on Three Stooge Review.